What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So heading into November, there are a lot of anticipated titles that are coming up, one of which from Sony, and well, wouldn't you figure it's starting to have some of its own issues around leaks online and spoilers. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about another November release. This was Sonic Frontiers, as we had some news around its release, as well as some pretty interesting impressions, and we'll also be talking about that original Xbox, as it does look like we now have a date for when Xbox Live could be making a return. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below, and we're going to start today with Fallout 4. Now, if you remember when Fallout 4 first came out, the performance wasn't great on consoles. I specifically remember playing it on the Xbox One, and the frame rate was pretty rough. Well, it does look like we're going to be seeing a better version of this game through way of an update for the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. This was revealed by Bethesda for the 25th anniversary of the series, and we can see this quotation from Eurogamer because when I was looking through it, the Bethesda blog was just not loading at all. I don't know if a bunch of people are checking it out, but either way, the update will include performance mode features for high frame rates, quality features for 4K resolution gameplay, bug fixes, and even bonus Creation Club content. So, I mean, it's exciting stuff for the quality features with 4K resolution gameplay. I believe the frame rate itself has been smoothed out with the Series X and even S getting like a frame rate boost. Remember, we did see Microsoft do that with previous titles where the frame rate was raised and all this, but this would be more in line with a next-gen update that we've seen with other titles. So it is exciting stuff just to hear Bethesda even talk about something in Fallout that's not Fallout 76, but Fallout 4, because it's going to be a while before the next Fallout game releases, considering it's supposed to be after the next Elder Scrolls game, and who knows when that's coming out. Also, with all the talk around Konami maybe coming back into the gaming space officially with releases like what we've seen with Silent Hill, there's some hope that maybe Metal Gear could make some sort of return. Well, it does look like that Metal Gear movie is still on. We can see this over on comicbook.com, who talked to Oscar Isaac, who said, "We want it to happen, be excited, what's the script, what's the story, what's the take?" But hopeful that comes to fruition because there's so much potential for that. It's an incredible game, it's my favorite. Now, Oscar Isaac is apparently the lead for the Metal Gear Solid film, but we don't really know much beyond that at all. I've thought about it. Metal Gear Solid in general, I mean, yes, it should be a pretty good movie. The series definitely leans into the more cinematic side of gaming, so yes, you figure it should make the transition over into film pretty easily. But my only problem is a movie, 2-3 hours tops? Would you be able to fit in enough of the Metal Gear lore for everything to at least make some sort of sense? I don't know. I kind of think this would do better off as an ongoing series on Netflix or an Amazon Prime, something like that. But really, at this point, I would just be happy to see something Metal Gear related. And there have been rumors that Konami has a lot of plans for that franchise in way of something like a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Wouldn't shock me if they also have plans to have maybe this movie come out within proximity to that release. Oh, and for Age of Empires fans, it does appear that they will be having a live stream to make some announcements later on today, one of which seems like it might be for the Xbox. We can see this posted up by Aaron Greenberg, who says, "Be sure to check out the special Age of Empires 25th anniversary broadcast planned for tomorrow," that being today, at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'd recommend everyone who likes Age, no matter where you prefer to play, tunes in. And this just appears to be a live stream for 25 years with Age of Empires. And the only thing with the Xbox, I'm curious how that would work with the controller. Seems like it'd be tough to map that out well. I mean, we've had Halo Wars and that's worked, but I don't know, something like that with Age of Empires. Maybe they'll just have mouse and keyboard support. Hard to say, but I guess we'll find out later on this afternoon. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with basically what's my most anticipated title for this holiday season, and that's God of War Ragnarok. If you missed it, it appears review codes went out all over the place because people were posting up on Twitter that they had received it and they were starting their playthrough for review. So yeah, Sony got these codes out pretty early. I mean, think about it. The game's not out till like the second week of November, and people are already playing through it now. So plenty of time to, I'm sure, get those review scores out there and probably get it lined up to take part in the Game Awards at the end of the year. But when review codes go out this early and with this kind of frequency, because it was getting posted up all over the place, you tend to have some media slip through the cracks and you end up with, well, potential spoilers popping up online. We can see this posted up by IGN. Again, no spoilers here, but I at least want to give you some idea as to how this happened, where they say the leak itself, while damaging, appears to be an innocent one. A Twitter account, which we won't link here for a user, with early code for the game appears to be auto-posting screenshots taken while playing, inadvertently revealing details of the game. And IGN has confirmed that the images are legitimate, which would be pretty easy for them to do, considering they are also playing through the game, getting ready for their review. And we can see, of course, Cory Barlog here responding in the only way he knows how, which is him basically face-palming and being tired at the same time. So this is rough because the screenshots were getting posted all over Twitter. I did come across some of them, and it was that moment of, you know, I wish I hadn't seen that, because, yeah, there are legitimate spoilers for even gameplay mechanics, but certainly pivotal parts in the story when it comes to the plot. They're out of context, sure, because they seem to just be screenshots, and they say auto-posting. I guess they were getting to certain parts, and they would just drop it on their social media feed from their PlayStation. But it was to the point where, yeah, there are certain characters and mechanics that are being revealed ahead of time. And some of this stuff might even be kind of blocked off from reviews, as that tends to happen as well. If there is a twist somewhere in the game, they'll be like, don't record footage of this and post it up for your review. I mean, even some of the previews I noticed, I went through 2 of them, and the second one I kind of had to stop because they were talking about some pretty key moments in the first 5 or 6 hours that I would have rather just come across on my own. So this sounds like a game that is going to get off and running immediately, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening. So I'm really excited for God of War Ragnarok when that does release November 9th. But we have to get there first without being spoiled, and for review week, when those reviews start dropping, it's going to be tough. So I have to try to keep the blinders on here. Fortunately, this was mostly limited to screenshots of different events happening in the game and not full-on gameplay or them just playing the first 10 hours of the game and posting it up, or even the ending. So hopefully we can make it to release day before any of that leaks out. But based on what I've seen with some of these high-profile games, I'm not really counting on it. Next up, let's talk about the big-time competition for God of War Ragnarok, and that's Sonic Frontiers. Mostly because it comes out the day before. In fact, my plans are to get Sonic Frontiers, play as much of it as I can during November 8th, and then basically put it down and go right to God of War Ragnarok. Maybe I'll try to get an early review code for Sonic Frontiers so I can talk a bit more in depth about it on the podcast that weekend, but it's going to be absolutely hectic that week. But the good news here, Sonic Frontiers is indeed coming out that day, as we all expected, but we can see this posted up by Tales Channel. It says, with the worldwide release of Sonic Frontiers fast approaching, director Morio Kishimoto announced in this tweet that principal development has wrapped up. Essentially, the game has gone gold. Great news. And in fact, we're starting to see some of the final previews get posted, and, you know, for the most part, they're pretty positive. There are a few shortcomings here and there that are described. For example, some bosses that are repeated and kind of feel like an obligation to have to play through every single time during some of these open zones that you're going around. But, like you can see, this one posted up here. This is from Digital Trends, saying, after playing 6 hours of Sonic Frontiers, I'm sold on the open zone pivot. And IGN had another glowing preview for it. For the most part, like I said, just a few things here and there that they were picking out. But it does appear to me that this should do better than Sonic Forces. I know that's a low bar, but that's kind of how you would do this, right? You compare it to your previous entry. And Sonic Forces was not very good. So they've now made this pivot to this open zone concept. And while at first, when they showed it through IGN with their IGN first, it didn't really catch on and people were calling for delays, the more they have shown, the more excited I am for this game. Like, I don't think this is going to, like, do some massive review scores or something, end up in, like, the 90s, nothing like that. But let's say, comes out and it's high 70s on Metacritic, and it does get a couple of 8s and 9s, I think that would be a massive success, overwhelming success for Sega with the 3D Sonic genre that they just haven't been able to figure out since the magic of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. And technically, if you go back and play those, they haven't aged the best overall, but really being able to figure it out here with some new concept with Sonic Frontiers was needed by Sega. So I am pulling for this game. I'm hoping it does well. Based on what we're seeing here with it going gold and previews at least being optimistic, I'm hopeful that we end up with a good 3D Sonic game. Also, there was one other thing I wanted to point out in one of these previews. It was mentioned that you do level up Sonic's speed as you go through the game, and I think some of the previews we've seen, it's been on the lower end, because one of them mentioned after 5 hours they were at level 10. The speed level goes up to 99 apparently. How fast is Sonic gonna get in this game? Next up, let's talk about Alan Wake Remastered on the Switch, or as the internet is now referring to it, Alan Wake Demastered. It's not a very good port, looks pretty bad, runs pretty bad, and it's sitting there currently at a sale price of $24. It'll go back to $30 after that sale period ends. And sure, they could patch it down the road and maybe we can revisit it that time, but I did mention I wanted to see an analysis on this game just to kind of confirm the eye test. And well, it has happened, and we can see this posted up, I'll say by Bits, but you can see their account name here on YouTube. They do a lot of these different analysis on games and even comparisons. In this case, they've compared the Xbox One, I assume the VCR version of Alan Wake, to the Switch. And they came to some conclusions here with the resolution and the frame rate. For the Xbox One, it's 900p at 30 FPS, and from what I could tell going through the video, it was mostly locked at 30 FPS on the Xbox One. I think there were a few dips here and there, but with the Switch, it was much more inconsistent, falling into the, low 20s, sometimes teens even with frame rate and the resolution. Oh boy, okay. The docked resolution is 594p as they measured it, and in handheld, it's 396p. It's rough. They've also had to cut down on a lot of different features with the visual styles, the shadows, draw distance, vegetation. The list goes on and on and on here. And I do wonder, I haven't seen the comparison yet, someone's probably going to make it, if the Xbox 360 version would compare favorably to the Switch. I assume it does. I have not tested it myself. Maybe it's time to plug in the 360 and see. But this is a very poor outing, all things considered here, for Alan Wake Remastered on the Switch. A game that is very good, and I would recommend it on other platforms, but not here. And this was, I believe, published by Epic. The port was done by D3T, so maybe they go back, maybe they take a look at it and they work to patch it, or maybe they just leave it how it is. Hopefully not, because that's pretty bad. So we'll see what happens here, but for now, definitely don't recommend it. Check out the comparison, though, that was done to see for yourself. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the interesting revival of Xbox Live version 1.0. Yeah, Xbox Live on the original Xbox. This is a really cool project that's been ongoing, and most have been worked behind the scenes as they're looking to bring back, apparently, almost every original Xbox game that had Xbox Live compatibility. We can see their site here. It says, Insignia is a free replacement for Microsoft servers for the original Xbox console, allowing online functionality to be restored for the first time since 2010. In fact, here is the big news. They now have a date for when invites will be going out. You can sign up on their website with an email to request access, and they will start pushing invites out to different emails starting Tuesday, November 15th. So you can try it out for yourself, and yes, go online with your original Xbox. I believe you can also use an emulator on your PC to try it out, but you gotta plug in the old original Xbox system and really get the entire feel from the early 2000s here. But some of the features, online multiplayer, leaderboards, and as they say, it is free forever. If you want a bit more information on this, Modern Vintage Gamer did do a video even trying out some of the different games, but they did show off here in a list the games that will be compatible, I assume starting November 15th if you do get one of those invites. They say with 20 titles currently available and more games added each month, the fun never stops. We have Call of Duty Finest Hour, Conquer Live and Reloaded, Counter-Strike Crimson Skies, Dance Dance Revolution Ultra Mix, Dead or Alive Ultimate, Mech Assault Midtown Madness 3, MotoGP Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 and 2, Star Wars Jedi Academy, that'd be a lot of fun, Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, Tetris Worlds Online, Unreal Championship, Whacked, Xbox Live Arcade, and hey, the good version of 13. And you know, I really like projects like these because you can tell it's fans who are very passionate about something like Xbox Live version 1.0 from the early 2000s and want to play with their friends or meet new people through online play on that platform. And looking at some of the games here, sure, it could be a lot of fun to go back and do 13 or play Jedi Academy or apparently Conquer Live and Reloaded all over again. So if you want to try it out, I'd recommend going over to their website, which is linked down in the sources, drop your email in, cross your fingers, and hope that you get an invite starting November 15th. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, Sonic Frontiers has gone gold and will be out in about 2 weeks. Are you picking the game up? Well, 13% said yes, I'm picking it up right away. 40% said yes, but later on after a sale maybe, and then 47% said no, I'm not interested. And even though almost half of the poll was that they're not interested, I noticed there were plenty of people in the comments saying, hey, you know what, I'm polling for this game. I'd like to see a good 3D Sonic game come out, especially after Sonic Forces. I think Sonic Frontiers is kind of in a tough spot there a day before a highly anticipated AAA game from Sony with God of War Ragnarok. I don't know if you have necessarily a major crossover there between fan bases, but God of War certainly is going to take over the internet that week. Nonetheless, I will be checking out Sonic Frontiers, and I'm hoping for the best. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Zan saying, the Switch definitely has near saturation of their market. Switches are readily available in the US, even with the chip shortages. Nintendo has a delicate act now to follow with a successor. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate the launch of the new console, probably within the next 24 months. My only advice to Nintendo is don't overthink this. People like the concept of the Switch. That's if they're going to a next-gen device and not doing a refresh or something. Don't do something weird. I know it's Nintendo and they probably will do something weird. Stick with the hybrid concept and build on top of it with, yes, stronger hardware, but maybe a little twist or an extra concept to throw in there. I had the idea of, with the handheld side, you could do a higher refresh screen. That could be kind of cool. But with the Joy-Con controllers, let's face it, Nintendo wants to sell some other accessory to you all over again with your new Switch or whatever they call it. And maybe they don't want backwards compatibility when it comes to the Joy-Cons themselves. I assume there will be backwards compatibility for your current Switch games and your Nintendo account, as they seem to be putting a lot of focus on it. But once again, Nintendo likes to do weird stuff. So here's hoping they don't get a little too out there with a potential successor. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. There's God of War Ragnarok already having some spoilers get out there online weeks before release. And then also, what about Sonic Frontiers? We're in the home stretch for it now with some pretty optimistic previews. Do you think this game can pull it off and give us a good 3D Sonic game? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.